beer.
He's got this wonderful gentleman.
English style, the British English style golden ale, I say. It's lovely.
You have to put a pinky up when you drink. You have to drink like this. And I went with, I just like the picture of it, but it actually tasted amazing. It's a smoked Helles lager with pineapple. It just has a cool pineapple skull. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that.
We get to see Steven pick one.
Oh,
go ahead, make a decision.
Go ahead. There's a Thunder Mountain.
There's Thunder Mountain because the mountains.
Oh, that's there we go.
Fitting.
And when he does a tachi, he brings the thunder.
Yeah.
And notice he took the very first beer he looked at. He didn't want to waste time. That's it.
Okay, John, you were talking about the lesson of sumo.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I brought a lot of kids that were challenged in life into sumo, and the main thing we told them is that we wanted you to be able to show the respect to everybody. And if you show the respect, you will get the respect back. And it's a two-way street. But it changes a lot of lives. It just makes people better when they realize that they got to control the emotions, their anger, their rage, their joy. Have all of that stuff, but you don't have to rub it in people's faces whether you're mad or you're happy. Just take it inside, suck it up, and just go for the flow. And we've talked a lot with you guys about muscle memory. If you do things 1,000 times, you'll get it. It's the same thing with controlling your emotions. I've heard people say, I can't control my emotion. I get angry and I kind of lose. It's practice. If you do that a little bit, we're a little bit heated, practice something, you go, okay, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to
control it.
But it made me a better dad. It made all these kids better students because it made them less fight, less suspension because they go, suck it up, dude. There's respect going on there. Yeah. So it's another life lesson of sumo that I think, for me, working with the kids, when they taught me that in Japan about if the camera went to Caleb and he lost, I shouldn't be able to tell it by looking at him only after the match when he bows and steps out. I shouldn't be able to see Michael. I shouldn't say, oh, he was the winner by his demeanor. I don't know if he won or lost. But if you can see the guy going like that, or, you know, he won, you see the guy, oh, you know, it's hard, but it's something you learn. It's a lesson in life.
Yeah.
Because your wife's going to piss you off sometimes. You can't go off the rage. You just suck it up, baby. It's all good, you know. Your drinking buddy's going to drink all the...
Love you, honey.
Your drinking buddy's going to drink the beer can that you want to go. You can't get mad. You go, suck it up, dude. You know? There's 5 more cans. No.
That's a lesson in marriage, period.
But sumo does that to you. It makes better people.
It does.
People grow with sumo.
It does, in that, I didn't realize, I knew it was changing me. I knew it was changing me in the last few years. I didn't realize how much everybody else noticed. Because of Vegas, I put Vegas on my credit cards, and so I didn't think I was going to make the Nationals. I didn't. I was like, I tried, I couldn't raise the money, it's not going to happen. And then, without my permission, and I love her because she did this without my permission, because I never like to ask people for anything, my sister put up a GoFundMe page to get me to Nationals here. And in less than 24 hours, I not only made the money I need to get here, but I made a few hundred more just so that, you know, just to be safe. People kept paying, even afterward. They kept giving me money. And all the comments I got were things like, yes, we want to help you, Caleb, because this is important to you. This has changed your life. We want to see you keep doing this.
And additionally, it was important to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't drop any coins in your bank if you weren't important. Honestly, you earned it.
Yeah.
That respect.
Seriously, man. So I have seen, being your friend, and constantly we're always doing our our podcast, and just in life, and we're always training together. Like, I want to, and we'll get more into the men's heavyweight, but your sumo yesterday was the best I've ever seen it. And we see each other's matches all the time, and I just want to give you a shout out because I think you only had one match where and it was your first match, because we talked about it right after that match, when you kind of like were swimming over or whatever, and I was like, come on, like you get it inside. And after that first match was, I mean, literally just match after match, win or lose, it was good looking sumo. And like Caleb, like I know you know where you've been and where you are now, but God, man, like I don't know, I'm happy to be your friend.
Thank you, man.
Sorry.
Maybe
we had a little tear-jerker moment.
Yeah, well, I think honestly, Caleb, your contribution to sumo has maybe made you the most popular guy on the mat ever. I mean, people just...
Who doesn't love this guy?
Yeah, you bring a lot. And we've heard your lamentations, I'm not all that I want to be, I can't do that. But we see a different guy. You know, you're internal. You see who you are inside, and that's important. But we see something totally different.
Outside?
Yeah, it's a different picture. We all drew a picture of you. You would draw the sadder picture. We'd just draw this beautiful growing picture.
Like I would draw a teddy bear with a mawashi on it. That's a Care Bear.
With the stomach would be sumo wrestlers.
The little sumo wrestler shooting out.
Yeah, the little circle would be the doyon inside. That might be the next T-shirt.
That might be in the world. Leave your comments below if you actually want that shirt. We got you.
He might design that. I might find a way to get it produced. That's a great one. Okay, now that I'm a little embarrassed, we're gonna move on to men's heavyweight.
Okay. On to their category.
So we got with us a new heavyweight, the First Nationals, Steamroller Steve here. As Grand Sumo has ignited you, the Steamroller Steve.
Yes.
I know you felt bad about yesterday. I know you told me about that, but I still thought you were coming off the top shot and hitting people hard. After that, you had issues, but you were still, even like you said, your heart wasn't in it yesterday. You still just came low, hit people hard, and I love that about you, man.
Can you tell us how you feel you did, or just how you felt about your performance, and then about I guess just the heavyweights in general, because I know you were there, and that's probably the most that you focused on. So that would be nice to I don't know.
Yeah. So I obviously wasn't impressed with my performance yesterday. I felt like I had gotten steamrolled over. In fact. And yes, my heart wasn't in it. I don't know why. I think we talked about this yesterday about how, like, like you, for example, like, you're my friend. I like you. I don't want to, get in there and hurt you. And I think I have a hard time turning that on to where it's like, I want to go to battle, and I've met these guys and they're all salt of the earth guys. Salt Lake City, salt of the earth. But they're all salt of the earth guys, and if it's somebody that I didn't like, it'd be easy to just, try to win.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason, I wasn't feeling it, and my sumo was sloppy. Wasn't moving my feet, wasn't just doing the basics. And I don't know if that was because of my heart not being in it, or my mind not being in it, or if it was because, truly, the caliber of men in the heavyweight class yesterday was outstanding. Just seeing all those guys and their, pure technicality. And you ask, like, did you learn anything? And I'm like, I didn't learn. Like, I watched them, in their movements, their power, like all the things that they did, and even in my matches, like, I learned what I shouldn't do for sure.
We all have been there.
Yeah. And my ribs learned what I shouldn't do. But yeah, no, I wasn't impressed with myself. I was very impressed with you.
Let me ask you something real quick. Did you grow up a big kid? Like, were you always a big kid?
Yeah.
Me too, and I have that same issue, because when you grow up a big kid, like just bigger than everybody else, you have to be careful around everybody, because you can hurt people easily. You probably grew up the same way.
I was telling somebody this the other day, when I played softball on a co-ed team, a 62-year-old man tried to run over me at home plate. There's a play at home plate. He ran into me. I was out of the baseline. He ran into me and fell down. And everybody on their team and the referees came and started yelling at me, or the umpires came and yelled at me. I was like, you see where I'm standing? I haven't moved. I'm out of the baseline.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything. This guy tried to run me over, and he learned a lesson. Don't come to me. But that's been all my life. It's like,
oh yeah, I have the same issue. And Packy told me yesterday. He was like, Caleb, if you ever can turn on that switch in your head that says, "Don't be nice to these guys, but fire off and hurt them."
Yeah.
I mean, not injure them, but like, go.
Right.
You would do much better and probably be much higher in this. And I know he's right. And we'll work on that together, man. Because I had that same issue. Like, it's hard to get like pumped up to the point where you want to just go hard on these people.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that I'm trying to teach myself: the guys in our weight division can take it.
Yeah,
I can take it.
They won't break. That's that. Like, well, so just as a dainty man, I did not have this, but I think that my heavyweight girl Esty has that same issue, and I had to tell her, I was like, Esty, I want you, like, you are the sweetest girl, you know, on earth. I need you to turn that off. And when you're in this ring, you're a beast. You need, like, get that win. We are the person in front of you right at that point in time right now. I hate saying it, but it's like, that is not your friend.
Amen. Amen.
That is not your friend.
Not till after that bout.
And then the second, literally after the bout, life is back to you know, normal. Y'all can go hug, drink, have a beer, whatever. But at this moment in that dojo, you put a mental dome around it. That is not your friend. There's me, you, and the Gyoji. That's it. One is out, one is in. It's that simple. And she's like, okay.
yeah. So Liesl and I did some unpacking of that last night, and kind of one of the things that I came up with was, rather than create a mindset of, I want to win this battle, like they're not my friend, they're my enemy, it's, I owe it to this person to give it my all, because I want them to have if they're going to win, I want them to earn it, you know, like, I owe it to them out of respect, because we were talking about the mutual respect yesterday,
Yes.
and I feel like, okay, that's a good way to frame it for me, to where if I'm going to help them get better, if they're going to help me get better, we owe it to each other to give it our all.
You know, I see that because I do that with Justin when we practice. And that's just practice.
Yeah. And it's great. Like, we are friends, but if you watch us in any tournament, pick a tournament,
any practice,
literally any practice or any tournament, we, like you said, we owe it to each other because we're on the same path. We owe it to each other to not half-ass it.
Yeah.
We both, like, and I mean, we keep a life tally on each other. Like, that's it's kind of, but like a win, like, when you, like, if you lose to your friend, also you're like, damn, that was a good one. Like that's, I get excited also off of a loss because a loss is a lesson.
Yes.
It's not the end all be all, but it's a life lesson. Like, and so, you know, and it's the same kind of like friendly rivalry like between me and Trent Sabo. Like, it's two very well trained people at a certain caliber, and it's fun. It's like, I don't know, the anime Hinomaru Sumo. It's just it's kind of, I feel like I'm in an anime when I'm with my friends, and I'm not gonna half-ass. You better not half-ass on me, and like, let's go.
But what you're talking about here is the essence of sumo. Sumo is a warrior sport. It comes from Budo, the way of the warrior. It comes from Sumo Do, the way of living a sumo life. And it's expected that when you cross the Tawada and you step inside the dojo, you are a warrior. And you do everything you possibly can to win. And if you don't, you're not giving your all to sumo, you're not giving your all to yourself and your growth, you're certainly not giving your all to your opponent. You're also not giving your all to your team or your group or the whole tournament. I mean, we're counting on people to come out there and fire.
Yeah.
But the same goes true right back in practice. I watch guys in pro sumo, and when they step into the dojo in the practice ring, there's no crowds, there's no money, there's no cheer. They just are freaking gorillas against each other. And I see ears, just blood flying out, and fingers breaking, and nose splattering. I mean, it gets really nasty and violent in practice, much more than even in the tournaments. They go after each other. They step out of the ring and they, where are you going for lunch? You know, it's just, but they're able to compartmentalize. They're able to turn that on and and that's what we were talking about earlier. That kind of, there's a time you got to go, I'm a warrior, and there's a time like,
release. and restraint.
And it's just,
Yin and
you guys
yang.
are hitting it, you're all nailing it right on. And that's another lesson of sumo, is that whether it's your job or something, there's a time when you gotta just turn on and do 100%. You might like outshine your fellow worker, but if the company needs this and that's what you need to do, you do that.
Yeah.
And then you go to lunch break, you back at what you help everybody, but not in the middle of the battle. You don't be helping people. You're there for you. Now Caleb and I talked a few times, because Caleb, and I'm sure you're the same, the big guys have a hard time when you go to practice and there's 12 people in your club and you're the only 300 plus pounder and everybody else is a 190, 160. Like, you can't just beat the crap out of them all day long. So what we used to do in Hawaii is we'd say, okay, I'll tell everybody, I'm gonna go a little bit gentle for like the first hour and a half of sumo. When I step in the ring, we're gonna fight and I'm gonna try and win, but I'm not gonna be firing 1,000%. And I'd say near the end, I said, guys, I'd like to get another 10 matches and be careful, I'm going full out. So they're just a little bit aware. And then it's okay to beat the light guy. Just boom, blast him. Because he wants to play sumo. He's there for a reason. And every time you blast him, he's going to learn a little bit of something. He's going to learn, like, don't mess with, no.
That is something I'm going to start using. I'm going to start using that now.
This man's a poet and a scholar.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I don't know we've said it on camera, but like, my first few months of sumo, when I first started sumo with the LA club, nothing but big guys. You had Yama, you had Takeshi, you had Byamba, you had like all these big guys, and Andrew were probably the smallest dudes. I don't think I got an actual win for like 5-6 months. But I was coming back every week, every single week, getting my ass handed to me. It was like, in the ring, out the ring, in the ring, out the ring, and I had a fire in me as a little dude, and so I understand someone like Ari and stuff like that. Like, I was like, I freaking got this, and like, don't go, I don't want you to go light on me, and I haven't felt that excitement until Mr. Steve came along, and so, because he hands my ass to me even after all these years, and he's just like, are you okay? No, I'm learning. Like I'm fine. Like I'm actually learning. Like every time I go with you, and then when I lose, my loss is like, shit, this is a new puzzle to figure out, and I'm still trying to figure out that puzzle, and I'm appreciative of you.
That reminds me of my favorite saying. My favorite saying of all time comes from Tom Landry, the famous Dallas Cowboy coach, and he said, "When we win, I teach. When we lose, I learn." And I try to keep that with me my whole life.
Well,
so anytime I feel anything, I learn.
When we win,
anytime I win, I can teach.
When I lose, I learn.
Yeah, and
as a coach,
I use that.
Actually, it's a good one.
Not just in sports. I use that in my whole life. So think about that.
I'm going to take that over.
Yeah.
It's Tom Landry. It's Tom Landry.
You gotta say it confidently, like you made it up. Yeah. You gotta say it. Hold on, guys, watch this tape, please.
Let's move on to let's keep going with heavyweights, because we just talked about us.
Yeah.
And there were some fantastic heavyweights. Not everybody got to show up. Robert had a hurt knee. He didn't play. We already talked about Kyle. He couldn't fight. Henry from Hawaii couldn't make it. And I can't wait to see that guy wrestle again. So it was still impressive to me how much skill and talent. Like I said after our Vegas thing, Darius was the best I've ever seen him by far, and he stepped it up a little bit. Even now, he still stepped it up. He's looking freaking great. Jose even looks better. I think he's a little annoyed that he didn't make it to the World's team. Jose was.
Well, he said it. I talked to him on the side. He was just like, I was pissed about my performance in Vegas. So him and Cornelius, they had like a redemption moment.
Yeah, and Paseo too, because both.
And Joseph.
Yeah.
I didn't talk one-on-one with Joseph about it, but I know for sure that Cornelius and I know Jose Galindo, they had some redemption, and they just had to set things right, and they did. And I'll say it again. Galindo was on fucking fire.
I will say it again. I believe Jose is the best American sumo wrestler right now. When you put everything together, like strength-wise, Robert is at the top. Size-wise, especially like size that can move and stuff, Henry's fantastic. He's amazing. He has all that size and he can move.
But
when you go with like size, spirit and technique, I do think Jose is the best sumo wrestler in America.
Jose can do power sumo, and he can also, but he can move as technical as a lightweight. It's insane.
He's so good.
His versatility.
Yesterday when he in the open, when he kind of moved off to the side and
middleweight shit. Yeah, everybody was like,
he did on a middleweight.
He hit because of the lightweight.
Reverse strategy, right?
Nobody looks at a heavyweight.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
They're
thinking, this heavyweight, like that's never like a thought for a heavyweight and an open weight to do. So it's always the lightweight guy who's like, or middle shit, any of them, like who's just like, holy crap, I gotta take this touch guy or dodge him, and he's like, yep.
Man, he is so good. He is so good.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else was in heavyweight that did really well? Robert did pretty well.
You know what I thoroughly enjoyed? Because Simeon is a heavyweight.
That's right, Simeon wrestled heavyweight. He did light heavy before.
His frame says I'm a light heavy. But Jesus, I love watching him like bullet. He's like Haramafuji, like straight on the tachi-ai. It's like it's low and it's lethal, and like I love that he like has to get heavyweights to think like shit. I know he's about to tachi-ai extra hard. He goes in, dude. Like, and I love to tachi-ai hard. So I'm like Simeon is like. I wish I could, I could be a heavyweight like him, but
I wish I could just wrestle him more. I wish I could get Hawaii and wrestle him a bunch of times.
I mean, of course, Hawaii, like, imagine you being, I'm assuming he's the smallest guy.
He is pretty much in practice, yeah.
Yeah.
He's always
so you
going
gotta go hard.
Yeah.
You gotta go hard. He has no fear going in on like, 300-400 pounders.
No, he's
no fear.
He charges Henry full on every time. Oh man, you're giving up.
I want just to entertain myself. I want to tachi-ai Henry hard.
Okay.
One day.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn today, but I learned a good lesson. Yeah.
Sim told me after the tournament, he goes, "I'm cutting weight next time."
I didn't get to take him on heavyweight, but I got to take him on in open weight.
Oh shoot!
And we faced each other in open weight in Vegas, and he made a beautiful movement. We hit Sane on the tachi-ai, and I thought to myself, I got this. I'm bigger than him. I'm just going to slowly drive him out.
You're going to learn today.
And before I could even take the next step forward, my feet were together, and he saw that, and he just made an awesome move, and I fell flat on my face, and I was literally embarrassed. And I was like, okay, I want to take this guy. And so we went open, and we went hard, and I grabbed him on the arm, and I made a great throw. And I got called for the win, and I honestly...
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I honestly thought I'd win, but the judges had a mono wing, and they couldn't decide. So we had a rematch. And at first I was upset because I thought I won. And I lost the rematch, and I don't care. Because it was one of the most epic matches I've ever had in my life.
It was a
I'm gonna say we played this tape in slow motion. I felt from the angle on that left side.
Oh yeah, we'll get the Sumo
felt
angle.
like he actually won the first one. But
yeah, regardless if I won, and it felt hell. Because as soon as I beat Simeon, in my brain I was like, I'm meddling in this open. I got this, and I did because I lost the rematch. But even then, I don't care because it was the best match I had this tournament. It was the best match I've had since you and me in Houston, in that Houston last year.
Yeah.
Or Roy Sims and me when we fell out in the last FitCon.
I feel like you and Roy one has been the highlight of my life. So like that one, that's one I keep.
I'll play that right now so you guys can see that.
Me and him. Don't worry, we've got many more treads on the tire for that one. But that one with you and Roy, I think at that point I lost my voice. That was 2020 Utah, I think.
Yeah, it was 2020 Utah FitCon. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So I would like to take it in two different directions. I first want to ask John if he had any wrestlers or anything he was really impressed with in this one.
Overall, I saw that the tachi-ai, pretty much across the board, was getting better. There's a lot more people really stepping into a across the start line and actually stepping into the fight rather than kind of standing up and doing a freestyle wrestling thing.
It's always
I saw just a lot of, in Hawaii we use this word katouche. One of the football broadcasters would always say, well, that was a big katouche when someone got his clock bleed. So I saw some serious katouches yesterday, and I didn't see a whole lot of serious katouches except for the Hawaii guys in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But this tournament yesterday, I saw a lot more lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. Even the ladies were starting to bang a little bit harder.
Yeah, and instead of just going straight for the belt, they were actually getting the touch.
Unless you're going to do like a really fancy little trick or something, I've been telling everybody from the lightweight to the middleweight to the heavyweight, to set up the sumo match correctly, you gotta fire. You gotta fire across. And you gotta be under control. You gotta take your legs with you, you gotta keep your hips underneath your shoulders, but you gotta fire. And I saw a lot more firing going on. So I think, not me, but it just, people are learning more about sumo, and it's just I see this evolution of the talent, and it's getting up there. So more and more and more, it's just, you're gonna see, watch this events kind of thing in 3-4 years. You're gonna see massive clashes.
I'm gonna write this down. Bring legs with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it's all. Otherwise, it gets caught leading over.
Yeah.
You and I will talk about that.
His rib knows this.
We'll work all right. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, because we had a moment where John got to honor. We call him the father, but John got to honor the grandfather of sumo. The Godfather. Yeah, that's good. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, well. Mr. Ernie Hunt, Navy chief, now retired, of course, long retired.
Yes, sir.
But he graduated high school. He was a good footballer and a good athlete, and he wanted to see the world. He grew up in a little California town up in wine country, and he said, I got to get out of here. I got to go see stuff. He'd seen Popeye in movies and stuff. He said, I'm getting there. He joined the Navy, and he ended up, within a year, he was over in Japan, in Yokohama, in the Navy, and met this cute bar girl, and they fell in love, and he said, I want to marry you. And her dad and family said, no way, no, goddamn American gaijin sailor boy, no. And she said, yeah. And they got married in the justice of the peace, and eventually the family kind of accepted him, but not real well. But her family had been around the whole essence of Japan, which is martial arts and sumo and whatever. And he actually he was going to the base one day, coming off the base, and there was a bunch of smaller local guys who were having this fun little sumo practice that they do about 3 times a week. He walked by and he looked at the guys and said, oh man, he said, that looks like fun. So about the 3rd time he walked, he said, can I try that? And they let him come out and step into the ring, and he beat all, I mean, he was a big boy at that time, and they were, he said, like 140, 150 pounders, and they weren't very good, but they were just having fun, like after work. And he just got the bug from that point on. And his wife supported his entry into the world of amateur sumo. And because he was in Japan and he was such in love with sumo, he would go to the sumo championships at Kokugikan. And he realized that if he brought some like food, Takayama would come talk, if he brought some Hawaii kind of foods, or if he brought some beer cans, so he would like meet these guys like after the tournaments and stuff, and like have a cooler on wheels with like 12 beers inside and 18 hamburgers, and people would just come out and he got to meet Takayama and Akebono and Kuniski, but he also met Chono Fuji and like the hero. I mean,
my wife's favorite.
Oh, absolutely. When he left Japan and retired kind of from Japan Sumo as the amateur, all the guys loved him so much that they held the Donpatsu ceremony for him, which is the hair cutting ceremony.
Wow.
Yo! When a wrestler's been
awesome.
been in pro sumo and you retire, they have this big ceremony. They cut your hair. Well, it was in some nice little restaurant or bar nearby. But who showed up to cut his hair? And they gave him a wig so they could cut his chomage. Chono Fuji took a cut.
Oh my God.
Kitana Umi took a cut. The Yokozuna. Takayama took a cut. Takayama kind of organized the thing for it. It was just. He cries every time he tells us about this story.
Oh my God.
He came to Hawaii after they left Japan, and he joined the local sumo club, and that's where I met him one day. I watched him do a tournament, and I met him on the beer line after they were done wrestling, and he said, you're a big guy, you should try it. No, I don't know. And I just retired from rugby, and he kind of harassed me a little bit about it, so I went and practiced with him one time, said, no, that's interesting. 2 years later, there was another big event. I went out and saw him again. He said, hey, you're the guy, come join us. I did, and for me, the rest was history. It changed my life a whole lot.
Whoa.
And he just was this sparkling personality and tough ass son of a gun. He just brought in more people because he was just this guy. He would go out and shake your hand, buy you a beer, and he loved to party and have a few too many. Can you imagine somebody? Can you imagine somebody having a few? I don't get it, but
we don't drink on this show, sir.
No, this is a Disney Channel.
Ernie was the heart and soul of the Wahoo Sumo Club, and I got excited about it. I got some of my friends and fellow guys excited about. Some of the rugby players came down. Some of my tougher high school kids and former high school kids came down, and pretty soon it really started to blossom again. And we just always thank Ernie for doing that. And his spark, his delight, his love and knowledge of sumo and his history of sumo. I mean, Takayama would come to Hawaii just to say, hey, you want to come join me with Takayama for lunch? Do I want to come join you? Are you kidding me?
Yes,
it was just lovely. And his wife would show up at sumo and she'd make all these musubi, you know, just feed. After sumo tournament, 6 or 8 of us would go to the house. She would make prime rib because Ernie would buy it at the commissary. We wouldn't afford it. And she would just cook for like hours and hours knowing the sumo guys are going to come after her. So this whole thing just blossomed. So we called him the father of modern American sumo because he really helped rekindle, brought so many more new people into it with just his personality and his commitment to the sport. So Ernie, he tells me also, he's at the end of the railroad track. You know, there's not a whole lot of track left in front of him. And we just thought this was the right time.
Yeah. To you, Ernie, thank you for everything you've done, man.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I got a short chance to talk to him on Friday when we went in for weigh-ins, and the stories he was telling, I was just like, I mean, he had me laughing, number one, but I was like, man, like this guy's pretty impressive. And then you showed me that picture of him yesterday,
right.
Which I don't know if you can send it to Caleb and show it on the screen or whatever.
Right.
But man, that was like I wouldn't have thought that was the same guy, but.
Right.
He's an impressive guy, so if you get a chance to talk to him, I would highly recommend.
I will say for
fun.
the history, just for the history books, he did say something that will always stick with me. The first time he wrestled you, you were in little tiny swimming trunks.
Shut up!
I swear, if Ernie has that picture, if it's somewhere in the world, that needs to go in the history books. I want to see you in a.
Don't let him do that.
I love the younger pictures though, because if you ever see younger pictures of this gentleman right here, he looked like Hulk Hogan's little brother back in the day. He had the facial hair and the long hair in the back, and he was a pretty big guy too back then. This is awesome. I hope I can find some old pictures.
I had to bust his chops a little bit.
But here's the deal. They gave me a call and said if I wanted to seriously get involved with sumo, they had a trip that was going to Japan for about 12 days to compete in a bunch of little towns around the Tokyo area and then come back home again. And I, wearing that thing, your butt hanging out, I said, I don't know. And my wife was my girlfriend at that time. And I hung up the phone. She said, what's up? I said, oh, Ernie called and said there's a chance I could maybe go to Japan. I'd only done like 2 sumo practices. I didn't know anything about sumo. I'd done a couple of practices and I could go to Japan. I said, you got to wear that. She goes, you got kicked out of college for mooning people. You told me you mooned everybody. And now you're saying you can't go to Japan because your butt's going to be out? Called Ernie, I'm in.
No, what?
So
she's right.
She humbled me, man. She really humbled me.
So, okay. We're going to break away from the Nationals for a little bit, because I have a couple questions for you, John. Something that I've never seen anyone ask you.
I want to be here to settle in for this guy.
Well, let's try blood. Barley wine.
Barley wine, alright.
Getting real British.
So this is what I want to ask you, because the people you wrestle, the people that you fall in love with, like me and Justin became friends thanks to Sumo.
Right.
And there's people like Kyle, who I always talk smack to because I love him so much, I respect him so much. Tell me some of those guys, the guys you loved to go against back in the day, the guys you thought were your rivals, the guys you enjoyed to wrestle. Those are the people I like to hear about.
When I joined sumo, there were 3 islands that were participating in sumo. They each had their sumo team. Maui, the Big Island, and Oahu. And every year in the summertime, the championship would rotate between the 3 islands. So in 2000, or in 1968, it was in Oahu. Then it went to Maui the next year, then it went to Hilo the 3rd year, and then went back to Oahu. And the host team was responsible for putting everybody up, feeding everybody, big party the night before, a big celebration party after the tournament. And Oahu had not won a tournament or a championship or an individual title in like 20 years or so. The Big Island was dominating sumo at that time. When I joined, the Big Island was the dominant force in sumo. The Aruda family, the dad was an amateur sumo wrestler way back, like in Taiho's time, and actually went to Japan and trained with Taiho and a few other people. I mean, way back. And he raised his boys up. He built a dojo in the backyard, and he had like 7 boys. And they had to go out into the backyard after school. They played football, they did wrestling, they did whatever, basketball. When they came home after sports, 8 o'clock at night, the dad would flick the light on. They had to go back out in the dojo. They had to do 100 shiko. They had to fight for about 10 matches each every day. So these kids just grew up living, eating, breathing sumo. So those were the guys like, wow. I watched them, and they just, my first year or two, they just dominated. Oh my goodness, these guys are really awesome. And there was a guy on, so there was Marvin Aruda, who was probably the best of the Aruda brothers. He passed away a few years ago, about 10 years ago. He died in a terrible accident on the telescope up in the top of Mauna Kea. A fire happened. He was fixing things up there, and he died from the smoke inhalation. But he was an awesome wrestler, just tough as nails, about 275. I don't think he had any fat on him, just muscle, not real tall, about 5'11", but just this brick.
It's like a Chino Fuji.
Oh man, just, yeah, but he wasn't like cut like that. He was wide, just broad. But,
okay.
But it's just like all muscle, just. He was really hard to beat, and his brother Douglas was another tough one, and Laddie, their nephew, Aruda. There were so many Aruda boys that were fighting there. Everyone said, oh my God, if you could beat the Arudas, you know, whatever. And I did it for a couple of years till I finally had a chance to go to Japan to learn a little bit more about it and come back. Then I had a little bit of luck. There was a guy that was the defending champion. My first time I won the championship was Benji, come up with his name in a minute, but Benji was from Maui, and he was the 2-time Hawaii champion. And I wrestled him the first year, and he kicked my butt. And I wrestled him the second year, he kicked my butt. The third year, I caught him in a really close match, and I got him to win the title, my first title. And but afterwards, he came over and he just hugged me. He said, "John, you had a great match," and so forth. And he had a classic line. He said, "We're Hawaiian." He said, "We don't eat till we're full. We eat till we're tired." I met his daughter, and she was like that big, and his wife was that big, and he was that big. I said, "What are you?" He said, "We don't eat till we're full. We eat till we're tired." He said, "That's when we know dinner's done, when you're tired of eating." So, but just great people. Back on Oahu, we had some awesome wrestlers that came up with us. Fitai Sua ended up being a 7-time Hawaii state champion. We got him a college scholarship, and he went to, I'll come up with the name in a minute, but he went to Japan and got a full 5-year college scholarship.
Oh, wow.
His junior and senior year, he was elected captain of the team. He showed up as a rookie. We trained him for a year to get him ready to go. When he said, "Yeah, I'll go," the mom and dad signed the contract, he's going to go to Japan and go to college. I said, "But you can't go in this condition." And he was a power lifter, a big tough kid, a footballer from high school. I think he was 19 when I met him, and about the age of 20 we decided we're going to offer him a chance to go to Japan. And he just dedicated his heart to sumo. He just put his heart in. And we did Japan style training with all the guys that were going to go to the big time, whether they're going to pro sumo, they're going to go collegiate sumo, or we thought they were world class caliber like Ken Heffernan and those guys, Wayne Vieira, those guys. We kicked the shit out of them in practice. We did Japan style, bamboo sticks, and when you do Butskani, you do 2 or 3, you're tired. And we did the real way on the dirt. We used the catch was sliding, and they'd go 25 times across the ring. We'd knock them down the dirt, kick them, throw sand, and slap in the face. Oh yeah, I mean, just kill them.
So you guys know, it's hard to do like
5.
By
5, your heart starts pounding so hard.
Just so you know the scale of things. Like, holy shit.
He's a Samoan boy, Samoan Japanese, so his first name was Hideo for Japanese, and then Fitai was a Samoan name, Sua was a Samoan name, his dad was half Samoan. And he just had the body and the build. He looks Japanese because his mom was Japanese, and he got to Japan, and even though we trained him hard as hell, that was in Hawaii, we're not Japan. He got to Japan, he still had a lot of licks and a lot of lessons to learn, and he just gutted it out. And by his junior year, he was like the leader of his team. His senior year, I think he came 3rd or something in the Nationals. So it was like unbelievable. It's like being an Ozeki or something. Like he made it that high. And they wanted him to maybe go pro sumo, but his family was having economic issues back in Hawaii. His dad was pretty sick with diabetes. He just made the decision, I'm going to go home. I got to go back. Family's number one, guys. Love sumo, but family, no matter what's going on, Family's number one. Don't ever forget that. You love sumo, give it your all, but family's number one.
Yeah, like my favorite Konishi stories, like the reason why I picked sumo is because my family had too many people to support and I needed to leave to help them out.
Exactly.
Family's number one, guys. Family's number one.
It truly is. And everyone, no one is going to argue that. Your family is everything. Wayne Vieira came along, and his dad was this monster big guy, but older. He was like 50 or so when we met him.
Which he's also our coach for the US team this year.
Wayne is a freaking hero of mine. Honest to God, he is. I love that man.
So I had Wayne in my 9th grade algebra class when he was in 9th grade, and great kid, good student, and
I was gonna say, who was better?
Yeah, who was better? What
in algebra?
Oh, the three brothers. I'd say Stephen. Wayne had two other brothers, Simeon and Stephen. He named his son.
Always go with Stephen.
But always go with Stephen. But those three guys came out, and the dad brought them to sumo and said, "Okay, what do you have to offer us?" The dad looked at the sumo and said, "This will help the football players." He wanted the kids to go to college and stuff. And Wayne had some health issues and never ended up going to college. So I said, "Wayne, if you want, there's a career in sumo that you could go pursue. I can't say you're going to win it or make a career out, but there's a chance." And the dad, "No, I don't know." And so for about a year they held off, and finally the dad said, "Tell me more." So I went. We sat down a number of nights in their house and just talked story. And eventually, the dad said, "Yeah, let's give this a shot." And we talked to Takayama. Takayama made the settings up, and Wayne shot off to Japan to Pro Sumo Takasago Bay, and was at the upper levels of Makushita. Jesse thought this is going to be another Sekitori. He's going to make it up to Joryo and beyond. He's going to make it to Makuuchi, maybe in a year or two. And he had gallbladder issues, and he had to have this major surgery, and he came home to have it. The dad and the mom were just afraid. They didn't know Japan. They said, "We want an American doctor to do this. We don't know what they're doing there." The guy came home, had the surgery, and after that, he missed a year and a half by the time he's ready to do a little bit more sumo again. And pro sumo career was over. So he stayed back in Hawaii. And after 2 years, when you're a pro, after 2 years, you are allowed to come back. If you're at Makushita or below, after 2 years hiatus, you can come back into amateur sumo in Japan. So we just said, "Wait your 2 years." We had like another 6 months to go. We'd love to have you come. "I don't think so." And his wife told him, "Hey, wait, you got to go back." So he came back to sumo, and I think he was a 7-time Hawaii state champion. You saw him; he won Night of the Champions in Vegas and Reno and Tahoe and just all around the world. So he won on world teams.
I'm gonna say real quick, because I found out about him because I got to watch. I think it was ESPN2 showed it. They showed a North American Championships in Vegas, and I wanted to watch it because I had saw Manny Yarborough on a talk show, and I wanted to see this huge man. His huge man. I mean, you see Steve over here. Manny dwarfed that man. Manny was
double.
He was literally like Steve standing next to Steve.
Yeah.
That's how big Manny was. And so I wanted to watch that, and I watched this, and Manny got second when Vieira got first. And I'll show you. I think I showed it before, but if I can find a footage, I'll show it again. Man, he grabbed Manny and just hopped that mountain of a man out of the ring, and I just lost it. And that's when I became a huge fan of him. And I've loved him ever since. And I'm so glad I got to meet him in Vegas and again yesterday, because he's great. He's fantastic. Go ahead. I apologize.
No. Jump in, of course. We've created a number of really good other sumo wrestlers that Brian George, one of our high school students, ended up going to Takasago Bay for 4 years and was at the top of Makushita, and then he also had a bad knee and just had to give it up and come home. Taylor Wiley went to Japan for a few years and did really well, and they thought for sure he was Ozeki or maybe Yokozuna caliber, and he just had some family issues back home. He had to come home and take care of, and again, family is everything, so they had to just stop their career because mom and dad had some serious issues going on. He had a lot of younger brothers and sisters, and he just, "I'm going home, I've got to take care of family." So just like Solly went to Japan to make money to take care of his family, Taylor wasn't making a whole lot of money yet, but there were critical issues at home to take care of. So he just, "I'm going back home, take care of family, just take care of that. That's number one." And there's just so many other guys at light, middle, and heavyweights that just came along and just added to the sauce, to the sumo stew that we had, our own form of Hawaii Aloha Champonape. It's just all these wrestlers just blended. And the wives and the kids would be down in practice. And I was telling Caleb today, we talked a little bit about doyo, and he said, "I wish we had a place to practice." What we did is we just we got a weed whacker, we just kind of hold it in the grass and brought a lot of dirt and compacted it down hard. And we had sumo rings kind of all around Hawaii, and we'd just show up at any given place. The wives and kids would come in, the kids would all be playing in the backyard, and the wives would be talking to each other and visiting a little bit. We'd have barbecue after practice. Some nights we'd all drink beer. I just remember a really terrible story. I remember a really terrible story. We had a nice sumo tournament the year that Brian George was leaving to go to Japan. We had like the final aloha for Brian George. We had a practice first just to give him one more beating before he was not going to be with us anymore. And the family was there. We had a big barbecue or something. Then everybody left. There was Ernie, myself, my younger brother was there for a while, and he took off with his car. There was Ernie, myself, and one other guy. I can't remember who it was. And we were sitting in this little green shed that we stored the mawashis and the shovels and stuff in to take care of. We built it next to the ring. And it was freezing cold. We still on the mawashis, covered in dirt and blood and sweat. It was like 5 hours later with barbecue and stuff. We never took the mawashis up. We said, we'll go sit inside. So we had the beer cooler outside with another case of beer left. We'd probably gone through 10 cases. And Ernie, myself, and this other guy sitting inside, and every so often we just open the door, reach out, and grab another can of beer, and close the door, because it's cold. So I'm like about 1 in the morning, Ernie opens the door, reaches out, and he goes, "Where'd you move the cooler?" I go, "I didn't move the cooler." "Where'd you move the cooler?" "I didn't move the cooler." Some local kids had seen these old fat guys sitting inside this building, and every 10 minutes a door would open. They came, snuck along, just grabbed the cooler, ran like hell.
Kids being kids.
So we're thinking with these big badass guys, you know, these little teenage kids just stole our cooler and all over there. So we went home. The next morning I woke up in bed, I still had my washi on, my wife was pissed, the sheets were all covered in dirt and mud and blood.
Oh,
shit. It was just one of those nights, you know.
My wife would murder me.
So, well, we had just wonderful experiences, and we all were just like you guys are becoming. We were all just family, and just I don't know, it changed my whole life. I met this new group of fantastic guys. My old gang had been the rugby gang, and of course the teacher gang, and then the surfer gang. I had a bunch of groups I traveled because I loved all those things. And then, but sumo just became like, oh, this is my family number 2.
Yeah, same.
And it's still that way.
And that's gonna be a good place to end this on, guys. Family. How much sumo becomes family? All of us. So.